the first week without football. But hey, that's not stopping us from podcasting. We have a full episode of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast coming your way next. Stay tuned.
Oh, indeed. I'm glad you connected. This is Dave Johnson, voice of the Washington Wizards. You have connected to the right place because you are listening to my man, Josh Kirby, on Sports Podcast.
Oh, man, what a sad week for us football fans. The NFL is over, but hey, that's not stopping us from bringing you episode 26 of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast. Thanks to our sponsors, Rat 11 Chips, for sponsoring this episode. Make sure you check them out in stores Martin's, Food Lion, and Giant. Check out their new salt and pepper chips, and thank you to Free Forever Jam Studio at premiumbeat.com for the music as well. I have with me CJ. CJ, how we doing?
All right.
Good.
A little bit late, but
Yeah, you still sad that football's over?
I was until I woke up on Saturday to see even more football.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to get into this a little bit. And also, my man, Coach Minteer, back on the podcast. I mean, your week is made when you see a great man like CJ's father. And it's just so great to be in the presence of you once again, sir.
Well, geez, I hope I can live up to that. That's a heck of a spotlight.
I was going to say, are you like that here at home?
But we're going to get right into it. We have a lot to talk about. And the first thing is the startup of the Alliance of American Football. I watched some of it. I didn't get to watch all of it. It's still on my DVR. But from the looks of things, I think, I mean, it's too early to say, but I think there's a chance this might be another league that the NFL can pull from besides college, because you saw so many names that you remembered and recognized, like Trent Richardson from the Browns, Zach Stacy, Christian Hackenberg, just to name off a few. But I watched some of it, and some of the rule changes are sort of different, but I like the direction this league is going.
So, for me, the life expectancy of an NFL player is 3 years. And most of the time, you'll get players who don't go in the first couple of rounds. They'll be gone in probably a couple of years. They'll be gone out of the league. Especially, you can't count on draft picks. They may never even get signed, actually. So to see this league, it kind of reminds me of like the NBA Summer League in a way, having, I guess you could call it the G League. But this is better than the G League because it's football. So, and I got to see a quarterback's helmet get taken straight off his head.
And there was no flag.
And I was very happy to see that. Instead of Clay Matthews literally bear hugging Alex Smith in a formed tackle and getting penalized for it.
Hey, but that was a good play still, because the Redskins won that game. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the rules are a little bit different. I do like them, especially with the consideration with getting rid of kickoffs, because me and my dad have been an advocate of saying, like, listen, kickoff and kickoff return can be deadly, especially for a player's safety. Because especially at the college or NFL level, these guys are running 100 miles an hour down the field, and they're looking to rip someone's head off. And for them to take that away, yeah, sure, it takes away a component of special teams, which you do see in the NFL, which players do get a job for. There are a lot of players who are just special teams guys. Matthew Slater is a perfect example from the Patriots. He doesn't play anything other than special teams, but it still helps with player safety, and I think that's also a big thing. Another thing, extra points. They're gone. You get 2-point conversions now. So, and once again, extra points, they slow down the game. They make it more boring, yada, yada. 2-point conversions, you get to see some more exciting plays. Orlando, they ran their own version of the Philly special in their game. So you have these players who are literally trying to make a name for themselves. Two, by the which, who are JMU Dukes, who play for the Orlando team. I forget their name. The Apollos, I think it is. So these guys were castaways in the NFL. They got shipped away, but now that they have another chance now, they could probably make a name for themselves. And same for the players who were up there, like Christian Hackenberg.
Yeah.
We won't get into that. But what about you?
I see your Penn State shirt on, Coach.
It's not to represent
Yeah,
him,
that's about when I say put McSorley in.
Yeah.
I think the AAF is a great look at what could very well be a supplemental or developmental league for the NFL. Now, they don't have any kind of ownership with the NFL. They're former NFL players that are helping run as a part of the organization in general, running the league of AAF. And
Hines Ward and Troy Polamalu, by the way.
You know, Hines Ward, Troy Polamalu. You know, you have the draw of NFL caliber coaches, and so you have this proving ground, so to speak, for a lot of players to have an opportunity to play. And you know, you get the like I really like the Perez kid from Birmingham. He really showed me a lot, you know. And then I did a little bit of research, and I found out he was with the Rams early on, but they cut him. You know, he didn't get much playing time. And when you look at the Rams organization, you know, you have to supplant Jared Goff. Yeah, you know, it's not hard to see that he would fall out and you know, and end up in a league like this. But at the same time, I'll tell you what, he's a pretty talented guy. I really like this play. I think what may happen is you'll see the NFL, and you know, it's just pure guess at this point.
It's too early to tell.
But I could see if this league proves to be good, and good for the players, that you can see the potential with them forming maybe a partnership with the AAF and bring about more, you know, more recognition. Hey, look, when the Super Bowl advertises the AAF, you know, they let them come on there. You know, that's pretty big stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, the ratings weren't spectacular, but they weren't
still
awful.
Better than the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, they I
says
think,
a lot.
But yeah, I do. But I think at the initially, that's a lot of sports fans' curiosity to see what they're going to see. And based on what on some of the earlier games, you could tell that offense still needs some work. And, you know, defenses learn at a faster curve anyway. So, you know, I think that when it's all said and done with, I could really see a partnership between the two for developmental league, and I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good stuff so far.
Yeah,
we'll see as it runs into the XFL what happens with that.
Okay.
That was almost 20 years ago. What is it, 17, 18 years
And,
now?
of course, like one of the biggest names who fell into the XFL was Herschel Walker. And, of course, he fell off the planet after that, basically.
Yeah, I mean, they had millions of viewers that first week, and then viewership kind of like dropped off when they saw the level of play, and, you know, all of the pomp and circumstance really didn't shine through the way it needed to.
But I also have to look at that as like a test of time now, because we are seeing, like, I guess you could say, more fun offenses and better defense as well, because back then it was all about running the football. You weren't seeing that much great offense back then.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
they're very vanilla.
The problem for me, a Vince McMahon run league, that's not going to get anywhere. If Vince McMahon reboots the XFL and they try to merge with the AAF,
you'll have to look it up, but I'm not sure when that's supposed to kick off.
Yeah, I saw some on Facebook saying, what if they merged? But, I mean, hypothetically, if that were to happen, the AAF would go down the drain, because Vince McMahon, I'm sure he has huge pockets, and the XFL is, like, just fun. And, like, there's no point. And Vince McMahon knows absolutely nothing about football, but you have executives up there like Bill Polian, Troy
Roger Goodell
Paul.
doesn't know anything about football. He suspended Tom Brady for deflating footballs, but the NFL's still around.
Well, I mean, it's the NFL. It's not like the XFL that was around for 1 year.
I know, but
then,
you have executives who know nothing about football in the NFL, and it's still running. So I could see it going both ways. I really could.
But Vince McMahon is more wrestling. So, I mean, a good point. You let me speak.
I'm just saying it is true because the Atlanta Falcons owner is one of the share owners of Home Depot. He doesn't just own the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh my gosh, really?
So yeah, lots of these owners, they own multiple organizations.
But my point before you rudely interrupted me is Bill Polian, Troy Polamalu, and Heinz Ward. They're part of the front office staff, and I think that
2 Super Bowl champions, by the way.
Yes, and I think that's really great for a new startup football league. And what I saw, I think there can be some promise in this league, but it's really too early to tell. But hypothetically, if the XFL and them were to join, I think it would just go downhill quickly. And hopefully the XFL doesn't start, because when I heard about it last time, I just don't think it will do well the second time.
Well, I want to go back to the rules here real quick and see like how this one rule will overtake something in the NFL, and it's called the Sky Judge. And basically, the Sky Judge is a person who corrects obvious and egregious errors, like officiating. They had the camera literally on the woman in the Orlando game, and they literally had her on the microphone talking about the play that was happening, and she literally corrected the referees for making a dumb mistake. Maybe I could be seeing Drew Brees in the Super Bowl then, but instead I freaking saw Jared Goff in one of the worst offensive showings in the Super Bowl, which is something that the NFL should adapt, but no, instead they have to tell Sean Payton after the game, yeah, we screwed up, instead of, actually changing the play to what it should have actually been.
Well, I really do like that addition, and hopefully the NFL will follow in the AAF's footsteps with that. But the AAF, what are they really playing for? It's an experimental league in their first game, so they're testing new things. But some of these things could be something that stick and end up the NFL takes part of it, and I could see that happening with some of the stuff.
Yeah, I don't see the NFL giving up college football. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely
I mean, that's
not.
That's the ultimate developmental league is college football.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't see them dropping that. But to add to it by having
adding
AAF,
more pull,
right?
Because a lot of these players, they just give up on the NFL and they can't do anything else about it.
Right, and Arena League hasn't
Exactly.
quite done what people expected it to for an off-season kind of football, and it's a whole different kind of game being played. So,
if you ever watch an Arena Football League game, it is completely different from an NFL game or college football game.
Yeah,
but I think there's a lot to be involved. When you look at the NFL, you're talking about a huge multi-billion-dollar revenue maker. I mean, anything that the NFL puts its hands on is going to generate revenue, make some money for you. So if the closer the AAF can tag on to the NFL, the greater chances of having a profitable experience, as long as the level of play is satisfactory to viewers. If that's the case, if viewership maintains its strong look and people are excited about it, that means the crowds get a little bigger at the stadium. That means viewership at home on TV goes up. That creates more advertising dollars, and then you become profitable. And then you throw in gaming and gambling, and you've got something that will be hard to not be a part of. So they got a long way to go, but there's definitely some things that have to be considered in order for them to be truly successful. Viewership and level of play are going to be huge.
And I also think
I think they go hand in hand.
And I also think the notoriety of some of these coaches and players, some of these coaches you want to play under. I mean, Mike Martz, He's one of the creators of the greatest show on turf, and he's a football coach now in the AAF.
Yeah.
Mike Singletary, former Bears player. He's a coach of the Memphis Express. Is it Memphis Express?
Is it?
It's the Memphis team. But anyway.
Yeah, it's the Express.
Playing under these types of teams with these coaches, I mean, there's no other coaches who are old school that will toughen you up because they know what it was like to play in the freaking NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, the level of coaching, you can tell that the coaches, they have a lot of experience, a lot of NFL. And then you got Spurrier. He had both a dip in both. Well, he was a college football Hall of Famer, and to be relatively successful in the NFL, it's good stuff. Well, it remains to be seen.
And
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say some notable players that we did see out there. Of course, Trent Richardson comes to mind to me. I mean, I remember his time back at Alabama. And, of course, he had, like, a very short career in the NFL. And then it fell off after, like, one season in Cleveland. And now when I saw him out there for Birmingham, the dude looked freaking jacked. He looked like he was in great condition out there.
Yeah, if you look at the way he ended his career in Indianapolis, he was not playing well.
He actually ended it in Oakland. He just fell off the map, but he got picked up by Oakland.
Yeah,
but
and
either
it was,
way.
you could tell, well, I mean, when he was in Indianapolis, he was just a shell of what he used to be. And I think there were a lot of personal things going on with him. I don't think it was exactly playing time. I think there were things off the field issues with, finances and family and things like that. And it gets in the way and affects the way you perform. And maybe he's got some of that stuff cleaned up, and he's a good running back.
I see. Well, the next point I want to go over with this, TV timeouts. That changed drastically, shortening the game up because with no kickoffs, no extra points, you just have switching back and forth, and you have the side-by-side split screen, like
Right.
about a minute-long commercial.
Right.
Okay, well, the only thing that I'm going to counteract to that is because they don't have a lot of ad revenue, I would say. A lot of big TV companies
that is
want
true
to put
too, since they're a
money
startup.
into this organization and say, like, yeah, we want to run an ad during this game. And it really showed. There was a tweet that showed, like, a game ran 2.5 hours. A football game runs 3.5 hours, sometimes at the minimum. And to cut down by an hour, that kind of shows that it's like, oh, people will see it from the outside like, yes, I don't have to watch as many commercials. But if you understand that, like, look, there's not a lot of ads who want to put their whole stock into this league because they understand that this could flop. But still, like, I like that there's no TV timeouts. It leaves more time for football. But I understand why they've cut down on that from a money standpoint.
I see. Yeah. So, that I think this league has great promise.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still too early to tell, but that's just my prediction because
I think you'll see a big thing this week with viewership. If enough people if you can maintain it, because like I said, the XFL when they debuted, millions of people wanted to see it because it was like a sideshow kind of freaky thing where people wanted to just drive by and watch. And then the next week, viewership was like, it kind of just dropped off. So we'll see this week if things don't improve, or if they do improve slightly. I think they're headed in the right direction. Definitely.
Yeah, I just hope to see what it is in weeks to come. So, moving on from the AAF now, big news out of the NFL, the Cleveland Browns signed Kareem Hunt after the video surfaced of him beating up a girlfriend, I don't even know, but another domestic abuse situation that we have to talk about.
The mother of his child. They had a disagreement.
Oh,
between,
okay.
I
Well,
don't think they were
The
married.
Browns have a good kicker now.
Kicker. I'm sorry. Oh, man.
I had to do it.
Okay. Well, anyways, let's get back on track here. How does this look from our perspective?
Okay. Well, the thing for me is that it looks kind of disrespectful, especially with the way that Nick Chubb was their running back this past season. And what did he do wrong to deserve Kareem Hunt to come in? And on top of that, he had Duke Johnson as his backup, who was he was a good running back, I would have to say, to back him up, because at the start of the season, you had Carlos Hyde, who was the starter, gets traded to Jacksonville, so then Nick Chubb gets thrown into the starting role, and he did a fantastic job. And now to have Kareem Hunt, who we don't even know if he'll be off the commissioner's exempt list. This is the thing, is that, yeah, they signed him, but he still can't play football. He's still on the commissioner's exempt list. So it really, I don't know. I just find that to be very disrespectful, how you're putting all your chips in this person, in this player, when you have a good running back in Nick Chubb, who is a second-year rookie coming up in this next season, and who did a great job last year for a team that didn't win a single game the year before. So, from my perspective, I find it to be disrespectful.
Well, for me, I just think with the bounce up that the Browns had, going from winning no games to winning, was it 5 or 6? I forget.
It was 7.
7 games, yes. Excuse me, but 7 games from going 0 games to 7 games. I think they just lost some respect. From me, I'm not sure about their fans, but with this, I disagree with them signing him. And
I thought the Redskins would have picked him up.
Oh yeah. I don't know the situation with Reuben Foster either, but I just don't think they should have picked him up. Nick Chubb, from what I've seen from the Browns last season, he's pretty good. And Duke Johnson, good.
Nick Chubb and Sony Michel at Georgia was a dynamic duo.
Oh, yeah.
And both of them can play the position very well. No one is better than one. Of course, Sony Michel has a Super Bowl championship now. But still, like, why do you bring in Kareem Hunt? The only reason I could see them bringing him in is because he's a threat in the passing game. And that's the only reason I could see, because Nick Chubb, he's the best of both worlds. He's a power back and he's a speed back. He has the best of both worlds. So, yeah, I just don't understand this acquisition, really. Maybe to give him another chance, I don't know, but that's what happens to good football players. They don't get thrown out the league. They get as many chances as they freaking want.
Yeah, I don't really know either, but it happened, and I'm not really sure what the Browns are trying to prove, but I guess we'll just have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Moving on. DeAndre Francois. This is a topic we didn't get to talk about last week, but I really wanted to talk about this. Florida State, what a joke. This happened with Jameis Winston. I believe a few other guys that I forget. You might know, Coach, but really, again, domestic abuse for Florida State.
And this is a different coach, too.
Yes.
That this has happened under.
Yeah, and I mean, like, seriously, like, you hear about domestic abuse in college or something, bar fights.
You just hear domestic abuse in football in general from these guys.
Yes, but mostly for college, it's Florida State. And DeAndre Francois, their quarterback, gets dismissed from it. This is the university's fault. I hope you can agree with me on this, but this is the university's fault.
I don't know where they find these guys.
I mean, seriously, like, first off, Willie Taggart. Why aren't you keeping tabs on your players? You recruited these guys, and why aren't you giving them curfews? Why aren't you making them do team building stuff or something, like, to keep them out of trouble? Like, seriously, this is the university's fault 110%, and I think there needs to be a change for Florida State.
University's fault? The university's at fault for the actions of a player. Isn't he responsible for his actions?
Oh, no, yes, the player too, but I mean, it's the university's fault for, like, not setting guidelines, like, you have to...
They could have had guidelines. I mean, they probably have a strict code of conduct, and I'm almost certain that domestic violence would not be a part of it in any way, shape, or form. But at the same time, I'm not saying please do not take this as I'm in agreement with this situation. But all of this stuff had come out about him and his girlfriend having this fight, and it was like almost 8 months after it had actually happened that the story had broke about it, and there were no witnesses and no charges were filed. Nothing. There's no police report. There's nothing. So how do they just build this up on him and throw him under the bus? I think if I'm not mistaken, you're innocent until proven guilty. But in today's world, and we've seen it in the political arena, we've seen it at other places. As soon as somebody says something, he's guilty, and they haven't faced any of this. I mean, how many times have we seen issues in sports involving athletes in which sometimes, yes, it is ugly and it's terrible. Ray Rice, the incident with he and what would become his wife, that was ugly as you can get. Kareem Hunt, bad situation, especially on video.
Greg Hardy, another one.
Yeah, I mean, but you go back to the Duke lacrosse case. You go back to Duke lacrosse. Those boys didn't do anything.
They didn't do a damn thing.
They didn't do anything, and they were literally thrown under the bus, and they were guilty in the court of public opinion. So, and I think what happens is the media is so quick to jump on these things. It makes it so difficult for a coach and a school to make decisions based on the actions of a player or a student. In this case, a student of theirs.
And if a coach doesn't make a decision about actually getting rid of the player, they're going to look at that university and go, "Oh, they support domestic abuse." Then.
Right. And
yeah, they're going to
tolerate that.
That's basically
so
the whole
it's
situation.
Yeah, and so I feel bad for the kid. I don't know what's going to happen with this. It's really difficult for me to really sit on his side, being charged with whatever they think he did with this girl and having this domestic dispute. I think that's really tough. That's a really tough sell. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't have an opportunity to clear his name and make it that, look, anybody could come along and say anything then, and your life and your career is ruined because of just what somebody says. That's really difficult. But if they filed charges and they had evidence, then sorry about your luck, pal. You should have made better choices.
Now, I'm not supporting it with Jameis Winston. We all know what happened there.
Yeah, from Florida State too.
Yeah, we all know what happened there. But yeah, I had an agreement with you, Josh. But yeah, the world has become so political to the point where you basically, even if you're famous, somebody that you may not even know could just make an allegation against you, and your whole career is ruined.
Yeah,
it just is.
I don't want it to be just an allegation. I want them to have proof.
Yeah.
And if it is, then if there is proof, well, then by golly, bring it out. And he should not have to suffer in the court of public opinion. He should suffer in a court of law, and that's just how you deal with it.
Well,
and if you can't keep your hands from touching a girl the wrong way, if you can't do that, you should not. You
should not be at a university.
Yeah, I mean,
you should not be.
You should have help. I guess.
I was going to say you should see a therapist if you seriously have an issue with keeping your hands in your pockets instead of in a fist right in front of a woman, then yeah, at that age, if you're 18 to 21 years old, if you have anger issues, please go see a therapist. Something has got to be done.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I do agree with you, but the thing about it, I think it's the university's rep, from before with Jameis Winston, all those allegations.
Yeah, those are hard to dismiss. There was a lot of stuff with him, and I don't know if you could say it was
crab legs.
It was. I can't say that it was swept under the floor, but it didn't seem as devastating, or it didn't catch that much spotlight. And maybe perhaps it is because it was crab legs, and it wasn't a female. You know what I mean? In this day and age, I don't know that you can assault crab legs, but you can darn well assault a woman. And so I don't know that the university was quick to do anything about that. I don't know.
And yeah, and you should understand this too, Josh. I mean, Reuben Foster, we joked about it on this show for weeks, saying all the Redskins.
Oh, come on, give me a hug.
I was gonna say you're basically just bringing a guy on here and he committed domestic abuse. Now we know the real story. He didn't commit domestic abuse
Yeah.
again.
So that leads me to my next point. The media is so quick to judge.
That's never going to change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
gonna
never
change.
going to change.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No matter what you do.
Hey, we have a podcast. We got a lot to say. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that
Yeah.
as not as a joke, but I'm just saying that out loud. That we have our own take on things, and we are what I've already mentioned. We are the court of public opinion. It is our opinion about these things. I mean, it just makes it really tough.
The media just loves to stir the pot.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, they just want to get people to get mad.
Well,
That's
I think
what they always like to
I
see.
think that's where we're at with this podcast. Is while we are,
I am mad at Josh. That's where we're at this podcast.
Yeah, I guess.
He was
but
late today.
We're not passing.
I
judgment. We're
apologize.
making light of events, and I don't know that we've passed judgment. At least I didn't want to put that idea out there that I was passing judgment, unless of course he has been found guilty.
Yeah.
Enough evidence points to him that there is some guilt. Yeah, it doesn't matter who the player is.
Okay, so my next question for you, CJ, is what does this mean for Florida State football now? Are they rebuilding? Because last year they struggled. Virginia Tech stomped them the first game of the season. Are they going to continue to be a rebuilding football team?
Yeah. With the law. Okay. I don't want to say that Willie Taggart is a bad coach. I don't want to say that.
His first
But
year, you can't expect great.
I understand that, but the loss of Jimbo Fisher to go to Texas A&M, that is going to lose a lot of recruits. It is. And so when you had DeAndre Francois at the helm at the quarterback position, under Jimbo Fisher's system, he succeeded. Under Willie Taggart's system, we saw what happened last year, and he did not succeed. They might need to change some stuff up coming up here in the next couple of years, is what I'm trying to say. They should be rebuilding, but I don't see them getting up to Jimbo Fisher's status here in a couple of years. I don't see him getting back to that, because now Miami, watch out. Tate Martell now is going to be the starting quarterback down there. And they're also having a new head coach as well. So Miami, they could be a rebuilding program as well. There's a lot of teams in the ACC who are up and coming. UVA is another one. They are another up and coming team as well. So I just see it as a rebuilding period now that DeAndre's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Coach Taggart has to set up his own culture and what he wants to do with the program. And I think he sent a message with DeAndre Francois that any kind of disturbance in their team culture is going to get you removed. And that's not a bad thing, is that you got to cut loose a couple of bad eggs. Regardless of their talent, you have to say, that's not going to fly with this football program, son. That's just not what we're doing. And we're trying to create a new culture, and you going out and being involved in these incidents are not helping our culture. It's not helping the situation. Look, if you're that distracted by off-the-field issues, how can you be focused at practice? How can you be focused at games and your schoolwork? How is it that all of these things happen and you destroy it because you can't function away from the field? You know what I mean? Function appropriately. I don't know. I got a feel for Coach Taggart. He walked into a very, historic program. It's been celebrated.
Won a national championship in 2013.
Yeah.
Escalated, but of course that was with Jimbo Fisher at the helm. And
Yeah,
that's
I get
why.
that. But, Jimbo Fisher walked away from a legend in college football.
Mm-hmm.
The legend walked away and handed the keys to Jimbo Fisher, and he took it from there. That's quite a bit easier to do than starting over again with a whole fresh squad. So you never know. They might come out.
That is true.
They might come out, and I don't know how his recruiting went. I didn't take a look at that. I should have taken a look at that before we started talking. But, as well as I do, you can X and O and come up with all kinds of stuff. But if you don't have the Jimmies and Joes to get it done, I don't care what system you have in place, you're not going to be successful. So
Yeah. This wasn't incorporated into the podcast, but another question for you, not about Florida State, but another ACC team, the Virginia Tech Hokies. You can see left and right that everybody is transferring out into the transfer portal. What does that mean for this Hokie squad this season, upcoming season?
Honestly, well, was it that Josh Jackson? He's going to the draft now. Their quarterback.
No, he's transferring.
Oh, number 17. He's transferring.
And then their backup quarterback behind Jackson is transferring too. Eric Kuma, he's transferring, just to name a few.
Oh no, it's really tough to tell because, like I said,
To me, I feel like they're rebuilding, but I haven't watched enough Hokie football to see
it's the same
if they
thing
were.
with me. I've been more impressed with what UVA has done in the past couple of years to what they did this year, of course. Made it to a bowl game and almost giving Virginia Tech their loss, of course, losing it in a heartbreaker. But Virginia Tech, I don't know, Justin Fuente, he doesn't have the same firepower that he did at Memphis. And I feel that, like, if he wants to find he's got to bring in players like he did at Memphis to create a better, because that's why he was brought in there. They saw what he did at Memphis. They saw that he was able to create a high-powered offense, but that did not happen last year. And I could see easily their recruiting class bringing in new people. A JMU commit literally dropped out of JMU on signing day and signed with VT. So there's another commit for him, but still, like, I feel like the reason people were transferring is because they didn't see that, like, oh, Justin Fuente, you didn't get it right your first year. It's like you had to basically take over for Frank Beamer, another legend in college football. You're losing a bunch of recruits, okay, because Frank Beamer is leaving. So that's my take, but
I think in this day and age, I think that there are a lot of kids out there, and I can call them kids because I've coached them. I think what you have is kids looking for an opportunity, and when the opportunity isn't what they expected it to be, now that the portal is available to them, they're going to go looking. And in the past, it wasn't like that. Once you recruited, you stayed. You know, you finished out your career there. Good, bad, or indifferent, you finished out your career. I think a lot of it has to do also with the fact that coaches, especially at the college level, are so transient. You know, when a better situation comes along, they jump ship for more money. And so you are being a high school kid who is highly recruited by, let's say you were being highly recruited by Virginia Tech, and you play under Frank Beamer, and the next year Beamer retires. Well, what do you do now when the next coach comes in and doesn't see you in the same plans? And so you're left out in the cold going, well, I'm not this coach's recruit, but I was on the previous guy. Now I'm not valued. I'm not going to play. So why should I stay? And now that the portal is available to a lot of guys, they want to make that jump to find that one place where they can excel.
And hopefully make it to the pros.
Whatever. I mean, yeah. I think there are plenty of players out there who play the game because they enjoy it without the expectation of reaching the NFL. I think they play it because it's part of who they are. And at the end of their playing days in college, they're ready to move on. It's time to move on to something more in life.
And we'll get into a couple of those guys who don't do that and only care about the money here in a
Yeah,
sec.
I mean, that happens. That does happen. That does.
Yeah, but before we get into that topic, I smell something. I smell something really good. I can imagine it right now. I'm shutting my eyes, imagining that warm sunrise on the beach with grass. Oh, wait, some dirt. A diamond. Oh, wait, I know what it is. Spring training is here. Pitchers and catchers have reported. So pretty much, what can we expect from this MLB season? I know it's early. I know you're probably going to be like, what's Clayton Kershaw going to bring you in the World Series?
Yeah. would be nice to go back and actually win the thing. If they could get there this year, be 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm, maybe.
Oh yeah, and your Pirates. And any expectations?
Pirates are the AAF of Major League Baseball.
Okay. You don't need to be that harsh.
I'm only kidding.
Bryce Harper is going to retire. No, I'm kidding.
Are you kidding me?
Kidding. You said what I thought.
You know,
I
hey,
gave
with
what I
this,
thought.
you know what? That's a good point because look, I'm not saying that he's going to retire or anything like that, but you look at the beginning of this year's Major League. Look at how many free agents are unsigned.
Manny Machado, Bryce Harper.
I mean, they were talking.
They're still not on a team, and that's crazy.
10 years, $300 million for Manny Machado. So Bryce Harper's got to be, licking his chops, wondering. I saw an article about why this hasn't happened soon enough, and there are guys that are saying, well, why don't they just, if they want to be on a team, why not jump into a 10-year relationship with a rebuilding team as they, work their way up? But then there are a lot of people that say that, in this day and age, well, let's win now. Let's win now. Let's get it done now. And we'll sell out. Pay the millions to the players now, hopefully get to a World Series and win this thing. Not everybody can be the Houston Astros where they built it from the lowest levels.
Yeah.
And they had, 3, 4, maybe 5 players in their system. And everybody knew it as soon as they started to see them play. Hey, look, this team's going to have the potential to win a World Series. That doesn't happen all the time. Very seldom does that happen.
Yeah. And as a Nats fan, I'm still hoping they get out of the first round. Because this year, we have Scherzer, Corbin from Arizona, Strasburg, 3 really good pitchers. We still have young guys in the outfield. Soto, he's a maniac.
He's going to be a good baseball
If
player.
Robles stays up, he'll be good. There's so many young guys. Plus, we won arbitration with Michael A. Taylor. Rendon's back. And who else? I forgot his name. Michael A. Taylor and Rendon, I know they're back. And I think it's going to be another make or break year for the Nationals.
Is there any chance that Harper is going to be retained in Washington?
But by the moves the Nats were making earlier, I said no. But, I really don't know now because Bryce Harper – I don't know. I think the media is just giving us a runaround because there's no clear story like where's Bryce Harper going to sign. Yeah. They said the Phillies. He met with the Phillies in Las Vegas, apparently. The Giants, I just heard their name.
I heard he met with the Giants.
The Padres.
Yeah.
He's meeting with all these teams, and he's still not on a team. So
Any
I think
any chance he could end up with the Yankees?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Wow. With anybody with enough money and firepower, I think the Yankees could pull it off. But I think Philadelphia is in the win it now kind of column right now. You know what I mean? They're just
that would suck.
Throw some money at him and get players like him and make a run at this thing.
Yeah. As you know, Philly's in the NL East with the Nats, so playing a Bryce Harper going to a division rival, that would not be good for us. But I still think it's Bryce Harper still isn't on a team. Does he want to play baseball? How long will they hold out until spring training? But I think he'll be on a team soon. I have no clue where because of all this media and stuff, but it's going to be interesting to see. I would like to see him be a national again. I do like him as a player. But, one player doesn't make up a team in baseball. You all have your wins and your losses, but one player doesn't really make up your team.
Yeah. He's a really good player. He can. He's a heck of a start.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Pitchers and catchers reported. I'm excited.
I'm never really excited about the beginning of baseball. It takes so long to get because it's a grind. It's this long grind that they're going to go on from April all the way to October, And so I'm never excited until we get – because things start to iron themselves out when you get towards the All-Star break, which is, in the middle of the summertime. So I don't know. I'm really curious about Machado, where Machado will land, and where Harper will land. It's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be really exciting for baseball fans, especially if he lands on your team.
That'd be interesting.
Both those cats can play some baseball now.
Yeah. Your thoughts on the upcoming season?
I mean, for me, I just don't want to face Jake Arrieta in the playoffs anymore for the Pirates. I don't want to face him. No, I mean, for my Pirates, like it's been rough the past year because of the trade of
McCutchen to the Giants.
And, of course, we've been rebuilding. We got some great pitchers, of course. I really like, especially Jameson. He's come back from a long surgery last year, so he came back, of course. And it's just been rebuilding, of course, personally. But we're always in a tough division. We're in the division with the Cubs. We're in the same division as who is the other? The Brewers this year. All coming out of nowhere. The Brewers came out of nowhere and just absolutely destroyed our division. So it's going to be a tough one to tell. It's 162 games, man. Anything can happen.
Yeah, that
you
is
could be
true.
the Astros. I'm serious. You could just come out of nowhere. You can.
Yeah.
That's what the thing about baseball is. It's 162 games. You always are going to lose. You will never have a perfect season. So
that would be crazy if they did. 162 and
you
out.
really would have to drug test those guys. You really would.
All right, but last but not least on this episode of the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast, CJ's take on the notable NFL free agents.
Why is it just me?
Because you wanted it.
It's NFL free agency now. The season's over.
Yeah, well, let's hear your thoughts.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to talk about Le'Veon Bell and where he's going to go, of course. Because
who cares?
Well, I just want to see, because it's the talk. It's the talk of the town.
Washington Redskins.
It's the talk of the town. You can't afford him. You already put your money in the toilet on freaking Alex Smith.
Yeah.
You can't afford $14, $16, $18 million a year for him. So, honestly,
especially because he's not worth that much.
I was going to say, especially because, he believes that he is worth $18 million, except he didn't play it down, a football, a practice snap, lift a weight in the facility at Pittsburgh.
Well, you don't know that he didn't lift.
No, I'm saying in the facility at Pittsburgh is what I'm saying, is that he was not near the team one single second this season. And I don't understand how a team can literally look at that and say, oh, yeah, let's sign him. Let's get him in here. $18 million. There you go, Le'Veon. Carry us to Super Bowls, please. You go 6-10, you putzes. So, for me, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to a team like the Jets. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Heck, even the Colts I wouldn't be surprised that he goes to, because they have a high cap space. They have a lot of money that they can throw away, basically. So, those are two teams that I wouldn't be surprised. Another one is Antonio Brown. So,
Washington Redskins.
So, seriously, you got to stop with that.
Hey, we got to joke around on the podcast. This can't be all seriousness.
So, Antonio Brown is another one that just today has officially requested a trade from Pittsburgh. And I don't know about you. Goodbye. Because I've said it many times. There are 3 NFL coaches who do not put up with divas.
Mike Tomlin.
I thought you said this was my take.
Sorry.
Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, and Mike Tomlin are the 3 coaches who do not put up with divas. They don't care about anybody else but the team. They don't put special treatment aside. It's never been about that organization. It never has. Unless you're Washington, who puts away a lot of money for Alex Smith. He gives him royalty when he's 33 years old.
I'm still mad at Washington at this very moment.
Oh, you absolutely should be.
Yeah.
But Antonio Brown, honestly, the bar is going to be set low for him. It really is, because of the domestic violence report that came out. Just, I think it was last week or the week before that came out on him. So the bar is going to be low on him. But of course, like I said, give me a hug. We're going to win some games. Teams are going to come after him. They are. And is it going to make a difference? No, because there's not that many Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the NFL right now. There aren't. There's not many quarterbacks who can throw the ball down the field like Big Ben can. There's not many quarterbacks who will give him that many touches like Big Ben will. So Antonio Brown, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to San Francisco. I really wouldn't. Or even Arizona. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to go all the way out west. Those are two teams that I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to.
I really wouldn't be surprised if he ended up on Cleveland. Not because he's a rival, but I just think he'd fit well in Cleveland.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to see, because seeing him in Baker Mayfield, I wouldn't be surprised at that. But like I said, they got to trade a lot for him. They have to, because Pittsburgh is going to say, well, actually, no. Like I said, after the domestic violence report, they're going to say, like, give us whatever, because his money's going to go down the drain anyway.
Maybe New England can give him a second chance.
If he goes to New England, if he does what he does in Pittsburgh, he won't last.
Put a seventh ring.
He won't.
They'll win a seventh ring, because now he'll have a downfield threat. Brady will have a downfield.
I know.
threat
No,
after
what
you-
I
if
was
you had
trying
a
to finish,
situation like that.
what I was trying to say is that if he pulls any stunts like that, he won't last. He won't
but
last any.
he would have to know that going in, that the culture of the Patriots doesn't allow for that. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the top three, free agents here.
Are those defensive players? No.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
No, defensive players.
DeMarcus Lawrence from Dallas has the franchise tag sitting on him. I'm not so sure he's not going to get money from Dallas. But you can test the free agent waters and see what's going on. Same thing with Trey Flowers from he's a 4-3 defensive end at New England. And I thought about this. I knew he was coming up for free agency. That's
Oh my God.
That's going to be a huge loss to New England to lose Trey Flowers.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney is another one.
I saw a report on Facebook, from some Redskins website, saying, what do the Redskins need to do to trade for Jadeveon Clowney?
Yeah,
Is
have
that
some money? I mean, I don't know what defense is, but he's a 3-4 outside backer. You know, it's not.
Yeah, but the thing about him though is that he is a freak. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's not many players who are basically his built, his stature as an outside linebacker, who could set the edge and also bull rush at the same time. There aren't many players like him. Yeah. Another one, Earl Thomas.
Oh man, I would love to see Earl Thomas end up with the Bears or the or the Patriots. Those are huge. He's such a leader, a huge player in the success of any defense, and he plays that very important safety spot.
Another one I would have to say is Ndamukong Suh. Actually,
yeah, he's
only got a 1-year deal with LA, of course.
Right.
But I could see Ndamukong re-signing with the Rams.
Yeah,
to keep their defense intact. Yeah, and another one for the Redskins, Clinton Dix. I think he's going somewhere else. I don't think he did enough for Washington to prove himself. And
he came in a very difficult situation.
Yeah. And it's even worse now for Washington, as you know. Jay Gruden's son gets arrested for public drunkenness in One Loudon. The same place Monte Nicholson gets arrested. And I don't know what that means, but Jay Gruden's son gets arrested. And I'm thinking to myself, what else could go wrong for the Washington Redskins organization?
I'm looking at some of these other. Teddy Bridgewater.
Bridgewater could have won a Super Bowl, but he didn't.
Tyrann Mathieu.
Oh, yeah.
Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle from Minnesota. Trent Brown, offensive tackle with Patriots. He's a giant at 6'8", 380. Ezekiel Ansah from Detroit. He's another 4-3 defensive end. Ronald Darby's good. Golden Tate from Philadelphia. Holy cow, that's a big one.
Yes, that is.
Mark Ingram from New Orleans is on free agency.
There's a lot of big free agents, and I'm sure over the weeks and months to come, you'll start hearing reports of re-signs or just trades and stuff, and we'll be on it. We will be on it. We will have the greatest takes for you for that and what our thoughts are all the time. Yeah, but
Tyrod Taylor. Don't forget Tyrod.
Tyrod.
Oh, that's right. It's Tyrod. I'm sorry. I saw the Hard Knocks episode where he talks about that. And people still, I just butchered it, and I had no excuse for it. But I did know the difference.
Yeah.
There is some quality talent out there. I'm really curious. What those top 10 guys. Earl Thomas, that's going to be big.
Yeah.
Landon Collins.
We can go on and on and on, but I think it's time to wrap things up. We thank you again for listening. Coach, thank you again for joining us. You're always welcome on the Josh Kirby on Sports podcast.
Yeah,
you can be the co-host of the co-host if you want. So, yep, thank you, Coach. CJ, as always, it's a pleasure. Thanks once again to Rat 11 Chips for sponsoring this episode. Thanks again to Free Forever Jam Studio at premiumbeat.com and to Dave Johnson for our wonderful intro. Make sure you find us. We're now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. That will help you a lot because you don't have to be on YouTube on your car ride to work anymore. And also make sure you find us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And, yep, episode 26 is a wrap. And we will catch you next week. Thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your week. Peace out.